Southern Ontario's manufacturing heartland got some more bad news this week when Kellogg's announced it's closing its London factory. That'll put 500 people out of work. It comes toward the end of a very bad year. Heinz is pulling out of Southern Ontario. Several other plants have also shut down. That's not to mention cuts in the auto industry over the past few years. And yet, according to my next guest, the news is not nearly as bleak as you might think. In fact, economist Joe Atikian says the manufacturing sector in Ontario is very much alive and well. He is the author of Industrial Shift, the Structure of the New World Economy, and he's on the line now. Good afternoon.
Hello, Jill.
Thanks for joining us with this contrary opinion. You say that despite what we're hearing in the news about cuts and closures, the manufacturing sector is not dying?
Well, I think the key point is that it's not dying, it's not devastated, it's still very much alive. In fact, all across Canada, it's very much alive.
What makes you say that?
Well, usually what I do is I look at numbers. I try to get the most reliable that I can. Statistics Canada is probably my favorite source around here. So if you look at numbers from StatsCan, usually what we'll do is look at output. So the amount of, let's say, cars or machinery and things like that are manufactured. And the other thing is jobs. So if you look at jobs, for example, that's the one that really hurts, of course. And I don't mean to minimize it all. When a plant closes, it closes and it hurts a lot of people. So that's a truth, and I have no qualms against the news there. But usually what happens is some plants will close and others will open, and a lot of focus goes on the pain, which is understandable, but it tends to ignore the other side of the equation. So, for example, the Caterpillar plant that closed in London, I think there was about 700 jobs lost there, but within a couple of weeks, Toyota expanded in Ingersoll. So there's a balance there, and the point is that Caterpillar was in the news for days and days and days, and then there's a brief mention about Toyota. So there's an imbalance there, and I'd like to straighten that out a little bit if I could.
So is what you're saying then that these aren't necessarily downturns in the manufacturing sector overall? They're just sort of specific to individual companies?
Well, that's part of it, but it's also true that, according to the name of the book is Industrial Shift, and it tries to capture the long-term trends to get directly to your question. So if you look, for example, 100 years ago, we started losing agricultural jobs, and there's the same worry. You know, what's everybody going to do? What are they going to go to? And then manufacturing boomed for 40 years, but it's actually been a smaller and smaller part of the overall economy. So that's been going on for 100 years, and I think we need to embrace the change and at least in a small way, start to get over the fact that manufacturing is not the biggest part of the economy anymore.
So what is that shift then? What is the structure of the New World economy?
Well, primarily, and it's not a surprise to anybody, but primarily it's services. But now, services are a little bit of a scary thing too, because there's, a lot of talk about, McJobs is the main thing, right? The burger flipping and that sort of thing. But then if we think about what's really going on in Canada, our expertise is in finance. That's one of our biggest service sectors, service subsectors. And, finance is not a low-paying, burger-flipping kind of activity. Real estate is the same. Construction is the same. There's a lot of service sector jobs that are very high-paying. The medical sector, for example. So there's a really broad range of examples that are actually an improvement, if you want to look at it that way.
So what should, I guess, both businesses and governments be doing to anticipate this shift instead of reacting to these downturns in specific sectors in manufacturing? What should they be doing to anticipate this shift and get ahead of it?
Well, I think you've nailed it there. It's the anticipation. It's, as I said, it's not news. It's been going on as long as people have been farming for thousands of years. There's shifts to other sectors. So anticipation is really the key to the whole thing. I'd like to say that governments, I don't think, can have a huge influence. They have some at the margins, but one of the things that bothers me the most is when people lose their jobs and they find that they can't easily shift to something else. So, I mean, I'd like to say, for example, that people should always maintain increasing education and sticking with their personal interests that they could perhaps spin into other things as time goes by.
And retraining
I like to see
program.
everybody shifting, actually.
Okay. Be adaptable. That's the watchword for this economy.
Adaptation and anticipation. I think you nailed it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. You have such an interesting perspective on this. Thanks for speaking with us this afternoon.
You're welcome, and thank you, Jill.
Joe Atikian is an economist, and he's also the author of Industrial Shift, The Structure of the New World Economy.